On Tuesday, the 16th of December, a man walked out of a building in Johannesburg's CBD. He had just answered a phone call. Someone had just lured him to his death, and he would never make it back inside the building. He was shot at close range in broad daylight, just meters from the famous Carlton Centre, and police now believe that this wasn't random. This is the killing of Warrick Stock, also known as DJ Warras, and the chilling questions surrounding his final moments. Warrick Stock had been inside Zambezi House near the Carlton Centre since early that morning. He was there alongside the building supervisor after his recently launched private security company was contracted to assist with securing the property. The building housed around 200 residents, and here's the critical detail. Nearly half of them were not allegedly paying rent. Now, a court-ordered eviction process was underway and tensions were already high. Sometime later that day, Warras received a phone call. He was asked to come downstairs. Now, I'm gonna pause here because whoever he received that phone call from, he must have trusted, he must have known enough to lure him downstairs without his security. We know that he was armed. He was found with his firearm still on him, so he was caught unawares. Whoever lured him did so effectively that when he came downstairs, nothing about that call caused immediate alarm. Moments later, he exited the building and walked towards his car. That is when everything changed. According to police, which we have on CCTV footage, 3 men confronted him near his vehicle. One of them with dreadlocks was armed. The suspects then fled immediately on foot. One of them was dressed in a security-like uniform. This was fast. This was targeted. And this was devastatingly lethal and precise. And here's what is raising serious red flags. His firearm was not taken. His wallet was not taken. His cell phone was not taken. This was not a robbery. This was a hit. DJ Warras, I think, perhaps knew that his time on this planet was coming to an end. We know that he had been receiving threats, and before his death, he had obtained not 1, not 2, but 5 protection orders. 5. All against individuals who had threatened him, people known to the police. Those protection orders are now in the hands of investigators, and that is 5 motives to kill. 5 motives to get rid of DJ Warras, who was very much outspoken on various issues. We're going to tackle them later. But DJ Warras was someone who was known for his controversial opinions. And just because you have a controversial opinion, just because you speak out against corruption, against crime, doesn't mean that you should be killed. It doesn't mean that you should be targeted. And according to the police, we believe that a price was put on his head because of the work that he was doing, trying to reclaim that building on behalf of the owner.
Left the building about to go to his vehicle. On his arrival outside, there was a guy wearing a dreadlocks. He shot, took out the firearm, shot at him. He tried to escape until he fell here where we are standing, and he had his firearm with him. Unfortunately, the people didn't take anything, but from the video footages which we viewed all over the place here, it came clear that there were about 3 people who were involved in the whole thing. But the one who shot him is having dreadlocks on the head, and the one who was with him after he shot, it's somebody wearing something that replicates security uniform.
Now, let's just pause here for a second. This is what everybody in the news, everybody online has been assuming is because he was working outside of hijacked buildings, Perhaps this is why he was killed, because of the syndicates in the area. But would this also provide and muddy the investigation for someone who wanted him dead, who was not linked to the hijacked buildings or the syndicates operating in that area in central Johannesburg? Perhaps someone who he had spoken out against in the past. We are going to get to that. And we have some unanswered questions. Who made that phone call? Who was waiting near his car? Because CCTV footage shows someone waiting near his car, one of the suspects. Why was someone dressed like security at the scene? And who benefits from his silence? This wasn't just murder. It looks more like an execution of perhaps a whistleblower to me. So I'm going to address some of the theories that are flying around social media and on TikTok. I'm going to play in clips and then I'm going to react. And a lot of it has to do with perhaps the Matlanga Commission, with things that are going on behind the scenes in South Africa, perhaps things that we have spoken about on this channel before.
This is the security cluster of our country, from intelligence all the way down to police. These are the people that are supposed to protect us. And there is an accusation that they are a cartel working with international drug smugglers and political killings, the taking out of whistleblowers, the Babitas of the world, God rest her soul, what a brave woman. If that's the accusation that's being leveled, it certainly isn't being treated with the seriousness that I think it deserves. And that tells me everything I need to know about Izophelela Kuphi.
Now, what is he talking about here? He is plainly talking about the allegations that General Mokonasi made on the 6th of July, saying that South Africa is run by a syndicate, run by a cartel, and that the cartel has more power than the government, and that they are, in fact, allegedly high-level politicians who are protecting people in the cartel. And we have to talk a little bit about this because he knew what was going on and he was outspoken about this. You guys know I've also been extremely outspoken about this. Go watch my How the Cartel Works video. And we have to talk about what DJ Warras would have wanted, because he mentioned Babita there and he didn't know that time was running out for him as well, and that he was also not going to even make it to Christmas because of perhaps the building. We don't know what the motive is, or perhaps some of the things that he said, because this is a very well-connected man. He is known to have a lot of connections, especially being involved in Johannesburg there. And maybe he knew something. I don't know. This is just me speculating. But what I am going to say is that this is someone who was outspoken. This is someone who was telling us as South Africans, we are not angry enough at what has been happening to our country. Our country has been taken over by a cartel, and we are not angry. We need to be more angry about this. And that's why he said at the end there, he knows how it will end based on our reactions. And this is one of the reasons why I started this YouTube. This is one of the reasons why I go on my TikTok, is because we cannot allow our country to remain in the hands of this cartel. We do not want the substances that they bring ravaging our communities. We want them out. We want our country back, and we want to make it a South Africa that is safe, that is free of substances and organized syndicates. And we are not angry enough about it.
I remember a story of that nature. Essentially what they do is they sabotage the water infrastructure. To this area.
100%. The water tanker.
To deliver water tankers for reprieve. 3-4 days, let's say, without water. Per water tanker, if they're getting 100,000 rand, for argument's sake, for the water tanker to go and deliver 40,000 liters of water, they're sending like 20, 30 water tankers a day. It's a quick 6 bars. You understand what I'm saying? And then they switch the water back on. So that was the story I heard in KZN at that time. But with the rate at which the water infrastructure appears to be falling apart, clearly that water tanker contract must have skyrocketed in value. So if he's saying that people are doing it on purpose, or it's being sabotaged by whoever these people are, that should be something that should be at the top of the priority agenda. You know, we can't be having that.
I normally get gaslit when Cyril speaks, just generally. I found it interesting that he can use terms like mafias and sabotage. And he has the ability, because nothing's been proven, as far as I know. No one's been arrested. It wasn't like we found the guys who sabotage infrastructure. We found out they are linked to. So Cyril is doing what we do on podcasts. He's spreading rumors and coming up with theories. And it's like, until you guys have done that, sure. But it's interesting that you understand this dynamic, that there's a straight line. And we are not allowed to draw a straight line and say, but when power plants are having issues, when we have load shedding, there might be mafias on the other side who are benefiting. And who are these people?
Diesel.
Where is this diesel coming from? And I found myself just intrigued that Ramaphosa can say something like this. And I was wondering if it's because his business associates are not linked. And it's more, when you speak about Zuma's tenderpreneurs and the fraud, it's the guys. Yeah. It's not the big boys.
The water tanker contracts are blacks, my man. Straight up.
Small guys. But he wouldn't say the same when we speak about the coal mafias and the diesel mafias and us.
I think that's another thing that state capture showed us is the magnitude of the contracts. Bro, like some of those figures that you hear, Exar or Nabukle & Co., in terms of the tonnage of coal that they deliver, at what price? It's stupid money. It's billions and billions of rands. You understand? When you calculate that over the period of time that they've held the contract, I think for the first time during the state capture inquiry, we were put on to the fact that there are families in South Africa that own these mines that have made so much money. It's almost unfathomable.
It is unfathomable.
Yeah. When a mine is delivering 100,000 metric tons of coal to a particular power plant a month, and they're charging 550 rand per ton on that coal. And you know what the cost of coal is to get it out the ground, especially those large scale mines, your costs come down significantly. So if it's costing them 250 rand, let's say, per ton, they're making a profit of 300 rand per ton. They're transporting it from the mine to the power station at 50 rand per ton. That's a clean 250 per ton, times 100,000 every single month. For 5 years,
had it for
year on year, 5 years renewable. They've had it now for 15 years.
This unfathomable. Oh, my English bundles are not here today. There's a guy on the Joe Rogan Experience who's like, people speak about 1 billion and they don't really know what that means. And he asks Rogan, how long is like 1 million seconds? And he makes an estimate and he's like, yeah, it's 11 days. 1 million seconds. This is now the difference between 1 million and 1 billion.
All right.
1 million seconds, 11 days. He's like, how long do you think 1 billion seconds are? And he's like, 31 years. From 11 days to 31 years, to just put it into perspective.
So what he is talking about here is the water tank mafia. It refers to organized criminal syndicates operating in parts of South Africa, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, who deliberately sabotage water infrastructure. Pipes are damaged, pumps are tampered with, critical components are removed. The result, entire communities are left without water. Now, you need water for everything. You need it for sanitation. I often say I'd much rather be without electricity than water because you need it to clean, you need it to cook, you need it to flush away your waste. It is such an integral part of who we are as human beings. And that is why we have it as a right. We have the right to water. But this shortage that is caused is not accidental. It's not due to drought or climate change in some cases. It is manufactured. And this is how the cycle works. Part one is that they sabotage. Water pipes are broken, pumps are disabled, or systems are interfered with. Part two is the crisis results. Residents are left desperate. We have hospitals, clinics, and schools and businesses that can't function. This directly damages education. It damages the economy. Step three, profit. Water tankers suddenly appear, charging exorbitant prices, or municipalities are pressured into emergency water contracts. And step four, corruption. The same syndicates often secure lucrative municipal tenders, sometimes bypassing normal procurement processes illegally or entirely. In some cases, water is illegally siphoned from municipality supplies and resold back to the very communities it was stolen from. The profit from the damage, and this is called so-called repair. Now, this makes it almost more dangerous is because there are alleged political players who are protecting these mafias. These syndicates are often linked to corrupt municipal officials, tender manipulation, and politicians who turn a blind eye. Investigators and whistleblowers report intimidation and threats, and when they get too close. And this isn't just a crime. This is state failure being monetized. Now, this causes municipals' budgets to be drained dry. You cannot build more schools. You cannot build more education facilities. Essential services, including hospitals, are disrupted. People actually die from this. If the hospital doesn't have water, this can result in real life deaths, and communities already struggling are pushed into further desperation. At the end of the day, South Africa has lost an icon, someone who was unapologetic in their need and their willingness to tell the truth and to call out the bull. Is this perhaps one of the reasons for why he died? Is South Africa safe for whistleblowers? I think we all know the answer. Is South Africa safe for those who dare speak out against the cartel? DJ Warras, RIP, you will be missed. You were an amazing guy. You were a father. You were a brother. And you were a son. And as the hunt for his killers continues, let us hold his family in our thoughts and our prayers as we carry on keeping his name alive. Because as South Africans, we want justice. We want the perpetrators involved to be caught. We want the person who ordered the hit, every single person involved, to face us as South Africans and tell us why. Why did you have to take this man's life away? Why did you have to take a father away from his children? Now, thank you for watching me. Thank you to all my members who sponsor the plant fund behind me. And thank you for all my viewers and for all my subscribers. Remember to immediately hit that like and subscribe button because it is dangerous out there. And remember to watch your 6.